10 years ago, Rhythm Heaven Fever was unleashed onto the world, and honestly, I don't think the internet's been the same since. Sure, other Rhythm Heaven games have come out before this one, and sure, it didn't sell the best compared to other games happening at the time, but it left a hell of an impact regardless. The music has been remixed and changed so much over the course of the past decade, and there's been countless edits and memes. And well, it also kind of changed me a little bit too. Not like a major, oh, this game changed my life sort of thing, but I do feel like it helped me shape who I am today. So, after 10 years, and against my better judgment, I think it's about time for me to take a more analytical look at this game. Here's a ranking of all 50 main games in Rhythm Heaven Fever, from worst to best. In my opinion. Now, before we begin, I'll answer some inevitable questions. Why not any of the bonus games? Well, unfortunately, those aren't quite as iconic as the main 50, and besides, 50 is just a nice, whole-feeling number. Also, don't be a smartass and ask about the credits game or the tutorial. How will I be ranking these? Well, these games will be ranked on 3 factors. There's the music, you can't have a rhythm game without that. I'm not exactly the best point of reference for how good a music is. I don't know what music theory is and I refuse to learn, but you know, this is a subjective list, so it's sort of just my opinion on the music, I suppose. There's the gameplay. Even if all the games are controlled by 2 buttons, it's how you use them that counts. Combine that with the beats and you can have yourself a pretty spicy rhythm game. Or a pretty mild minigame. And finally, personality. If there's one thing Rhythm Heaven is known for beyond its music, it's that charming, silly personality. Which games have it best among these factors? Well, let's not dilly-dally any longer and get to beating that beat!
How many shrimps do you have to eat before you die?
Alright, I don't like talking negative, but our first few places on the list sort of require it. So, let's just rip this band-aid off right quick. I think Shrimp Shuffle sucks! Well, okay, it's not inherently awful. None of these games are. However, it's the one game in this collection where I think I can point out more problems than the rest. From the start, I feel like the gameplay is a little weird. I mean, this is the only minigame in the entire collection to use the tutorial voice throughout almost the entire song. There is a reason, it's supposed to be like an instructor for the shrimp dance team. But I feel like they could have integrated the cues a little more seamlessly, instead of using a voice that, after 7 columns of games, we get to know pretty well. It feels kind of non-diegetic, not integrated into the world of a minigame. I can think of many future games on the list that have this sort of thing down. I also wish there was a cue for barely missing a beat. The fact that there isn't one makes perfecting it a chore. You swear you hit something, but nope, miss. Even some of the less popular games get that right. And speaking of miss, I don't love the song.
2, 3, 3, 2, 1 together. 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1 together. 1, 2, 3, 3 together.
It's alright, but it doesn't stick out much compared to the others. Its melody is a bit meandering, and when it's not meandering, it's just jumping around haphazardly. Shrimp Shuffle is an okay idea, and it's pretty cute, but it feels kind of unfinished in its execution. It needed a bit of fine-tuning to reach the heights of many other games on this list. But I'll give it to the Shrimp. They got the moves.
I'm dancing, bro! Rock it!
Oh geez, this one is beyond basic. What is this one doing anywhere besides column 1? Launch Party sees you manning the launches at some kind of space station, each launch having different timing, and you hit the button when it reaches 0. It's fine, the game works, it's functional, but both aesthetically and gameplay-wise, it's just kind of basic. And it doesn't really feel Rhythm Heaven-y to me. I mean, there's like nothing. It's just, you just hit the button, they go boom. You miss it, they go blank. But I think the one thing that puts us above Shrimp Shuffle for me, besides the fact that it's slightly more competent, is the space ambience and how the audio really leans into that. I don't know, I was always mesmerized by space stuff as a young one, and between the hollow space noise in the tutorial and the space transmitter dialogue behind the music and the actual game, it gives me a bit of a warm feeling. I don't know. It can also just be sort of a distraction in that scenario, which, you know. No parry, they don't know. Elaborate. Launch Party is fine. It's just really basic and forgettable for me, though.
That's it?
Something's biting!
Catch of the day exists, I guess. Like Launch Party, it's just a matter of here's a set number of timings, figure them out to the beat. But I can give this one a few extra points for at least trying to be visually interesting. Keyword trying.
What the fuck is that?
But, unfortunately, even with a little more effort thrown in, Catch of the Day is still pretty rudimentary and basic. It doesn't really do anything interesting with its set rhythms, and games before it, like Screwbot Factory, do. The fish never get too close to each other, so it's not really a challenge having to do one timing after the other. You just do the timings. The music is also just fine. It's not bad, but certainly sounds like something for fishing. It's a shame because I can see potential for this one. Again, get those beats to be a little more demanding. Play with the timings a bit more. I don't know, something. As it is though, it's just there. And my interest in this one dropped harder than that Kirby Planet Robobot video I stopped making. Wait, am I supposed to say that?
Time to tip the scale.
Built to Scale is a pretty standard game. Nothing mind-blowing, but I like the way it plays with the titular scales, and it's kind of fun when it messes with the extremes of the tempos on both ends. I just wish there was a little more to it personality-wise. But a variation of this one's been in all three of the unique games, GBA, DS, and Wii, so I guess it's just tradition now. Its sequel game does slightly more with the concept, so I'm gonna put Built to Scale at number 47, and 2 at number 46. What, you expected more? Look, I don't have a paragraph's worth for everything, man. If it works, it works.
We got bread on deck, bread on the floor. Toasted. Bro, shut the fuck up.
Working Dough is one of the Rhythm Heaven minigames to ever exist. It's got some funky tunes and weird Pillsbury Doughboy fetuses jumping out of pots to smack beads into a spaceship. God, what the fuck? But besides its aesthetic values, I don't feel like it does much to hide its Simon Says-like method of rhythm game. And while yes, that's a common thread we'll see a lot later, I believe Working Dough just doesn't quite hit the mark in that case as well as others. You can put Dough 1 and 2 in either 45 or 44. I don't really know which one is better or worse right now. For me, they're practically interchangeable.
Stop it.
Yeah, this one's largely disliked among parts of the community. And I can definitely see why. However, I just think Love Rap is, fine. Certainly not anything fantastic, but not nearly as awful as it's said to be. I think the sort of low-key backing track is strangely soothing, and, okay, yeah, maybe that's it. The main issue I hear a lot of people complain about are the cues, and by extension the localized version, localized version of said cues. They did the best they could with bringing a rap-based rhythm game from one language to another, but, Yikes. On top of that, the timing. Like, what is that timing? Still rhythmic, sure, but in the heat of the moment it feels more reactionary. To me, at least. Also, the sequel game is kinda worse to me. Sure, it's more demanding, but, what is this? Leaning more into that reactionary thing I said before, that's for sure. I also don't vibe with the fancier aesthetics and music as much into. Love Rap as a whole is a pretty unique concept when it comes to Rhythm Heaven, which I can say is better than most of what's come before this bit, but the execution leaves a lot to be desired. I'm gonna be putting Love Rap 2 at number 43, and the OG at number 42.
Into you.
All about you.
All about you.
Board Meeting is one of the Rhythm Heaven minigames to— wait, fuck, I already used that one, didn't I? Well, I don't really have much to say when it comes to this one. I mean, I like it. I think it's got a cute little premise with these chairmen of the board in this nondescript company spinning around and stopping on a dime.
You can stop on a dime, Mario.
But, it's really undercooked. I can't even say that it being an early game is the reason for that, because Hole in One, literally the first minigame, demands more from the player. Heck, I'd say the entire first column demands more than this. It's also incredibly short, like, whoa. Might be the shortest non-remix minigame. I feel like this one is kind of carried by the tune for me. It's a bop. Board Meeting, while charming, could have had a bit of fine-tuning, or maybe even a sequel game. But, as it is, it's just a bit boring. Cause they're pigs. You know, it's called Board Meeting because they're pigs and they're chairman of the board. Micro Row is here, I guess. I kind of forget this one exists sometimes. But in truth, giving it another chance, I think this one's pretty okay. Using a microscope, we get to see all these little microbes who, I don't gel with the designs all that much, but, you know, it's got a unique aesthetic, I'll give it that. You roll around the area, having a funky little time. Pretty colors, ooh, ah, general sounds of childlike wonder and all that funk. I don't have much to say here. I think the game itself is fine, and I like how demanding it is. Having to keep your ears open for that ringing sound that cues the triple row, it demands alertness, and that's cool. A presses ahoy. But besides that, this one's, you know, it doesn't do much for me. It's fundamentally solid, but a touch lacking in the personality and the tunes. I'm putting it at number 40, and the sequel, Micro Row 2, up a place higher. That guitar is bitchin', and I think the added quick rows give the game a lot more spice, but ultimately, still kind of forgettable. Also, the songs for both 1 and 2 are literally the same length. It's not a knock against the game, I just find that kind of funny.
I give you fire. You
Give me a beat.
And here we are at the first remix of the list. For those not in the know, the remix stages in Rhythm Heaven basically take the previous 4 in a set, or later in the game, they just take a random assortment, and remix them into a different tune than before. For example, this one has the 4 that make up set 5, most of which we haven't talked about yet, but, regardless, this remix is probably the weakest for me. It's by no means bad, just compared to the others, a little bland. The tune doesn't stick out to me very much, and I don't really dig the prehistoric look. Mechanically though, it's pretty good. It does the best with what it has. Also, maybe I'm biased since this one has Cats of the Day in it, so it's automatically shit.
I wonder what's for dinner.
I feel like I shouldn't like this one as much as I do, but fuck it, Forklifter is fun. Distract yourself from the fact that it takes place in the white void of eternal nothingness, and you have a simple yet effective pattern repetition game. Catch the food flung at you with a fork and stuff it in your face hole. Food's pretty tiny though. Also, as expected, the music is really bumpin'. This part right here, art.
Hamburger.
Even with how lacking its visuals are, I quite like Forklifter. That fork is a spotlight hog though. In the cast list after the credits, they take all the credit for the minigame when they would be nothing without the hand.
I'm going to clown college.
Remix 6 is a pretty decent challenge. I like the mix of games we got here. Heck, even Launch Party kinda works in this context. The carnival aesthetic is cute, even if most of the games don't really change or take advantage of it, aside from the backgrounds. Except Love Rap. And, well, the song kinda changes into a completely different tune halfway through, and it's a little messy. Where's the flow? Why did I rank this so high again? But I don't know, man. For all its faults, this one is pretty fun, pretty challenging. I don't have the words for every game on this list. I'm sorry, this is a mess. Double Date is surprisingly chill. You got this boy on a date, helping out this weasel couple by kicking balls away from their date, each of the balls having their own respective beats. A basic one, a 2-beat, and a 3-beat. It's simple, but really effective in teaching different rhythmic timings, especially for this early in the game, and Hey, wait a minute. 3 balls with different timings, you press them at the right time. This is a better Catch of the Day that came before Catch of the Day. In hindsight, maybe that one should have been below Launch Party. But back to Double Date, it's just simple fun. And the sequel adds a good bit of challenge, stringing together many beats in order to keep the player on their toes. Though I'm not too fond of the country flair the music in 2 has, personally. Never been my area. Even if the placing kind of switches for me every now and then, for the sake of the list, I'm gonna place Double Date at 35 and Double Date 2 at 34.
Monkey Baseball!
Time to hit the same timing for about a minute and a half. Yeah, this one should probably not be up this high, but I don't know, man. I just think Exhibition Match is really charming. As has probably been established by now, there's a lot of these perform the same rhythm games in Rhythm Heaven Fever, but Exhibition Match just has a lot of charm to carry where its variety lacks. I love this goofy baseball dude. I like how the game does some visual trickery that could actually trip you up the first go around. And I really like how this pitcher gets a bit angy when you're doing things right. That establishes a sort of friendly rivalry between the pitcher and the batter. Minor world building, gotta love it. But most of all, the main reason it's higher than it should be. The monkey, baby. Man, I love monkeys. Exhibition Match is simple, exceedingly simple, but it's charming. And I feel like that charm helps it win out over similar stuff.
Yo! Monkey!
Tambourine is a jam, y'all. Just a good old time with a good old friend of mine. Sure, it's a Simon Says type game. Well, actually, the game calls it Simeon Says, that's fucking brilliant. That's better than anything in this script. But it deliberately plays around with the bass rhythms, adding and subtracting beats from it as it goes along. I don't know, I kinda like that approach. It's simple, yet increases how much it demands out of you over time. And I just love the monkey's reactions too. How he just glows with optimism when you're doing it right, and then he just cringes at you when you do it wrong. And to think, something so demanding is so relatively early in the game. Tambourine is a certified good game. A true jam session with one of mankind's closest relatives.
It's not a phase, Mom!
Ooh, this one slaps. Remix 2 is held together by a sort of punk rock aesthetic and jam, which, in turn, is my jam. The fast tempo, the consecutive beats relentlessly pounding against the rhythm, the abundance of monkeys. Man, this one hits all the right spots. Oh, it's over already. Well. Honestly, who needs cartoon basketball movies when a real Space Jam was made in 2011? Okay, that was rough, but really, Remix 7 is a vibe. It's groovy, far out, and that one part where Karate Joe just doesn't feel like doing his part of the game is a mood and a half. And this part in the Tap Troop section can go suck an egg.
Ready? And bum 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 tap tap tap. Ready? And bum 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 tap tap tap.
I got nothing else to say here, just good fun all around. Figure Fighter is a fun, fantastical frolic. I find frequent frustration in the fighting fellow's fists, yet for the few faults, I can't do this. This is a dumb bit. Figure Fighter's cool. I like the pace and speed that the combos come at you, and the sequel expands on it by adding some offbeat rhythms and picking up the pace. It's simple, but enjoyable. Emblematic of Fever's mission statement in a way. But I'm gonna put 2 below 1 in this case because in 2 I always miss at least one punch, and I swear it's not my fault. Bleh. Bring on the next challenger.
Hole in One!
Hole in One is a great opener for this game. The concept is pretty easy to grasp. You're just playing golf with a monkey and a mandrill who are just throwing golf balls at you with different timings. It's simple, the aesthetics are cute, and it's just a joy. I love how they establish Monkey as a character. Like, this is his name. Monkey! And the music, man. The music. Jeez, it's so good. Of course, being the first game, it's pretty simple, but for what's basically a second tutorial, it's probably the best it could be. What, you're expecting the monkey gag again? Look, I learned my lesson. I'm not overusing the gag again. Bossa Nova is a pretty chill little game. I mean, judging by the name of the game, you'd probably guess so, but I dig it. Between all the frantic, funky, and zany beats, it's good to relax every now and then. Not sure what the correlation is between the Stone Age, volleyball, and this music, but it's a unique combination for sure. And having to manage two types of beats that switch off every now and then, that's pretty challenging. Thanks to the tempo though, it's not overly challenging. I do have one criticism though. Why are the sounds like that?
I hate it.
Joke complaints aside though, Bossa Nova is a nice pace breaker. It's chill, has a pretty unique style to it, and it's overall just a good breather between games. Sit back, relax, and drink a coffee as you listen to this game's dulcet melody. Okay, why the heck is Seesaw so damn good?
Well, you got me. By all accounts, it doesn't make sense.
It's such a mundane concept at first glance. Like, yeah, one guy slams down, you fly up and hit the button as you hit the seesaw again. Rinse and repeat, but God, do they go all in. Sometimes the little fellas see and saw, they go on the intersections of the thing and it just goes faster. There's these super high slams to account for momentum as well, and the music, what the hell? It's crazy to me how hard this goes in, especially considering this is in the first set of minigames you unlock. Yeah, this is first world material. I'm stunned. This one's a keeper. It's a surprisingly fun game for such a simple concept, and a perfect fit for this list's halfway point. I only wish there was a sequel so it could have gone even harder. Wait, geez, we are only halfway through, and I got that excited? Over a bloody seesaw? Man, these next ones are gonna be wild then. You know, maybe if I didn't mention this earlier, it would have been surprising to see this one so high. But whatever, c'est la vie. I vibe hard with Screwbot Factory, man. The song slaps, the gameplay slaps, I need to find more words for things besides bumps, bops, and slaps. And despite being pretty easy and only having 2 forms of input to memorize, A, this is literally the second level in the game, so I can forgive that. And B, they do a lot to mix and match the 2 beats. And still, despite that, I have space to mess around and have fun. I mean, sometimes I just fidget the claw to the beats in between screwing the bots. Not much else that needs to be said besides that. Screwbot Factory is simple, but in its simplicity, it makes a fun game all the same.
Honestly, fuck y'all. I ain't never seen nobody act like this over no bread. What?
Took us this long to get to our first fully lyrical game, huh? No, those 2 don't count. Get them out of here. But yeah, I love each and every one of the rhythm games built around songs with lyrics in Fever, and unlike Love Rap, each and every one of said songs with lyrics bang. It's just that Remix 3, out of the lot of them, feels a bit long. Like, that's literally my only problem with it. I love the cutesy bakery aesthetic, and the song itself is phenomenal. That guitar break in the middle, actual rhythm heaven.
One, two.
It's just that, yeah, I feel like it drags the verse longer than it should. Is that just me? If it was a tad shorter, it'd be up with the rest of its lyrical kin easily. Because, man, it deserves it. But I gotta be fair. Petty to one, petty to all. I sealed this fate when I put Micro Row so low on the list because of character design. It's not my fault that they look like the Raving Rabbit!
Monkey Golf 2.
Jeez, can somebody say glow up? I already love the original hole-in-one, but this one, whoo! The difficulty is just right. It takes what you learned before and puts it in a more extreme situation while not being too overly difficult. The rhythms are funky, but still manageable. That monkey just will not stop chucking those balls. The aesthetic is even more adorable now, taking our monkey friends and the golfer gal up to the clouds, near rhythm heaven itself. And the music, holy shit, how did they make it better? The game itself is still the same old, hence why it's not immensely higher than the first hole-in-one, and why it's still kind of in the middle of the list. But geez, in the moment, this one makes me feel like I'm on cloud 9. Tasked with the heavy duty of having to introduce the concept of remixes in this game, Remix 1 does a bang-up job of that. Topped with a tropical vibe, every game gets equal screen time, and the melody is pretty bumpin' too. I do kind of wish that you didn't have to sit through Monkey's introduction every single time though. Like, especially when you're going for perfects, that shit gets mad annoying. But a good first remix is a good first remix. We've come a long way since Rhythm Tengoku's first remix.
From the book, motherfucker, from the book.
Turn your fucking brain on.
Honestly, just going by the name, I remember thinking the first time that this game would be a disaster. But nah, Cheerleaders is actually great. Sort of a similar concept rhythm-wise to Board Meeting, where you have to wait your turn to twirl a book, but there's different timings and inputs to do. I also appreciate the various references to past games when the girls open the books. DJ School, my beloved. Also, the localization is just so bad it's good. I love these cheesy cheers. They simultaneously sound like things a cheer squad would actually say, and things they wouldn't be caught dead saying. Overall, with all these pieces moving in harmony, and a great backing track, as usual, Cheerleaders is more fun than I thought it would be. You know what? I'm gonna say it. Donk Donk slaps. Yeah, that's right. I think this game slaps and y'all can't stop me. Yes, it's complete nonsense, but that's just part of the charm. Piloted by characters literally labeled in the credits as, these guys? Donk Donk has you soaring the sky on a rocket ship with one of the most killer beats in the game. You're doing that thing we do, again, reading the script verbatim here, but you're doing it with gusto, and all the while these little dudes just vibe to the beats. Unlike Shrimp Shuffle though, this game is enhanced by the whole telegraph every beat thing, because instead of literally counting the beats, it's just them vocalizing, and the vibes are just impeccable when you're doing it right. When the music combined with your inputs lining up, God, it feels like you're soaring. What freedom, what a weird set of beats. And all wrapped up in a game that can only be done with a series like Rhythm Heaven. Donk Donk is a delight.
The one that goes...
More Screwbots? You're darn right I'll take more Screwbots. Not much to say again. Screwbot Factory 2 is still a sequel to a pre-existing minigame, as bumpin' as it is. But I enjoy the visual trickery here. The darkness more or less forces you to lean into your more rhythmic instincts, as the game should do. Reminds me of Philbots 2 on Rhythm Heaven DS, but this one is a respectable length. As a whole, the sequel isn't much different from the first one. I mean, they just made it a bit faster and cut the lights. But I don't know, man, it's just fun, and a more difficult Screwbots appeals to me personally. It's a fantastic sequel to an already fantastic rhythm game.
Please clap.
Double up.
See, not all the simplest games were mid to low tier. Hacking Pest is super enjoyable. Laying on a simple premise of smack spiders package candy, it's accompanied by a really catchy beat, visual trickery, and hey wait, is that Munchie Monk? From hit minigame Munchie Monk? From hit game Rhythm Heaven DS? The sequel adds to the formula too, playing with offbeats and delays that spice things up a lot. This is one of the only sequel games to have a tutorial, and that speaks to how they actually dared to add more mechanics to this one. I like that. I'll be putting Packing Pest 2 at 16 and the original at 17.
1, 2.
Much like Built to Scale, this isn't Karate Man's first rodeo in a Rhythm Heaven game, but God, this is one of his best. That breakneck speed, the combos, the special moves. Gameplay-wise, this has to be one of my favorite movesets. And holy shit, the song! It's an earworm of a tune, yet the lyrics are strangely somber. Heck man, did Karate Joe break up with somebody? Well, whatever troubles you got, man, I got your back. And, your fist, apparently. Stop back! Another glow-up that deserves its own placing, huh? Yeah, I don't have much reason to place Cheerleaders 2 6 places higher than the original, but it's the little things. By God. There's so many more beats to keep track of. You cannot rest for a second in this game, and I love that. There's some new references too. Moai Doo-Wop, my detested. And the track? Nah, they fucked it. It's utter trash now. Nah, I'm kidding, of course it slaps. Cheerleaders 2 is yet another banger sequel to a banger game. Keep it up, girls. You're doing phenomenal.
Do a roll.
Sweet mother of molasses. I found the only thing that can rival the Rhythm Heaven monkeys in cuteness. The Rhythm Heaven seals. Flipper Flop is adorable, and the game itself is fun too. It's a neat little synchronized training routine for our little pals here, and the rolls you do mid-routine increase to honestly comical proportions. 1, 2, 10. Also, shoutouts to this game for having the harshest punishment when you mess up.
You just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
This one just clicks. Its charm level is through the roof, and it's no slouch on difficulty either. An excellent minigame to teach you how to roll with the punches. This one is just really dope. I mean, you're a samurai slicing down demons to the beat. The inherent satisfaction from mowing these guys down and how they grow throughout the game to try to trip you up it's so good. And the gag where the story obscures your vision during the game is probably the second best visual distraction in Rhythm Heaven Fever. It all works and it clicks together to be, God, I told myself I wouldn't say this word, but this game deserves it, epic. I seriously get chills every time the music swells and your sword slashes sync with the lightning strikes. Like, dude, that's so badass. What a wonderful showing. I'll be putting Samurai Slice at number 11 and 2 at 12. I like them both a lot, but the first game just overall feels much grander to me. No matter how much I punch, I can't punch through my pain. Okay, yeah, no, Karate Joe is definitely going through some shit. God, I'll just leave him to work it out. I'm not gonna capitalize on this man's sorrow.
Goodbye.
You want me to teach you to dance?
Tap Troop is a pretty intimidating beast at first, being another hit every beat game like Flipper Flop. And much like Flipper Flop, it has an easy to understand melody that doesn't throw you off. Luckily, you don't have to do 20 flipper rolls in Tap Troop, but there's a lot of tap tap tapping, if Remix 7 was any indication. The melody is unabashedly silly, but man, when you pop off on the track and your group gets all happy,
Ready and tap tap tap.
is it weird to say I come back to this one a lot? Especially when I'm having a bad day? That cheerful expression, the joy as they tap, it's so pure. And I would know. Would I? I don't know. But what I do know is that this one means a lot to me. I don't care if I'm a little biased. Get yourself a 50-foot tall group of tap dancers for emotional support.
Ready and bum 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 tap tap tap.
Oh my god, slow down. Remix 9 is beautiful. Visually striking, undoubtedly grooving, and every game works in its part of the song. Yes, even Love Rap. The chaotic energy is wonderful, a good contrast to the remix directly before this one in-game. And same with Remix 3, the singer here is phenomenal. Like, all the vocalists do a surprisingly great job in this game, in both Japanese and English, but Remixes 3, 8, and 9 highlight it more than usual. And finally, gotta appreciate Remix 9 for giving a special spotlight to my boy, the Screwbot. What, you were expecting the monkey? Listen, I told you, we're past that. Try to keep up. Air Rally is classic. The energy of the game, the characters, damn near everything is almost unparalleled by anything in the rest of the game. It leaks so much charm that honestly, I'd be a little worried about the plane's engine at this point, but I'm having too much fun to care about that right now. The game is fast, the cues are incredibly endearing, and God, Forthington's voice when he goes into the background will always make me smirk. Also, shoutouts to the Bluebirds from hit game Rhythm Heaven DS. Good game. It's a shame this one didn't get a follow-up because I'd love to rematch this kooky cat any day of the week. Oh, what a blast! Remix 4 is just fun. It has a really strong traditional Japanese vibe to it, and all the cogs in this machine move in a way that makes it super fun to listen to and play. There's nothing that really makes this one all that special aside from the aesthetics and that amazing music, but I think it's probably one of the most solid remixes either way you slice it. Everything moves seamlessly, like the slice of a sword. And for that, I think it's worthy of being up this high. For years, I had doubted myself. I thought, maybe in another life I could accept this. But here? I pondered for so long. Am I capable of forgiving past troubles? And what even is forgiveness in this context? Allowing this back into my life after so long, is that the right thing to do? As the hands of fate moved closer to their apex, my mind began to clear. And that's when I realized, man, I love Monkey Watch! I understand the pushback against it though. I've had a rocky history with this game as I was roadblocked by it at a young age when I first played Fever. But over time, I've matured, learned it, and have since come to appreciate it now more than ever. It's demanding, especially for how early in the game it is, as you have to high-five other monkeys for every beat, and some rebel monkeys can wind up on the offbeats. It requires you to stay on your toes, and the visual tricks in this one are nasty on top of that. Zooming out so you rely on the clock hand's placement and sounds, a monkey in a balloon passing you by, obscuring where your monkey is. If there's any place to say monkey time, it's here, huh? And the song is maybe the game's most infectiously optimistic. Seriously, I can't listen to this one without smiling. It's borderline impossible for me. For all of its difficulties, Monkey Watch is a phenomenal Primate-based game, and the third best non-remix game on this list. Oh, now the remixes are making me feel emotions, huh? Remix 8 is such a beautiful yet sad-sounding remix. It's by far the most unique of them aesthetically and has a theme of unrequited love, according to the remix description. Wait, the Air Rally game is here? So does that mean at least one of them are, you know... The rhythms switching off are pretty fast and unforgiving, but that's expected at this point of the game. And do I even need to say it? Play the music!
Tell me what to do in your love. Whatever give you up, whatever let go. Even if it breaks me, I will always know you are
Utterly phenomenal. I've sung along to this one more times than I care to admit. Practically have the song memorized at this point. No, I'm not gonna sing it, we just played it. But Remix 8 is seriously breathtaking. I love when Rhythm Heaven's songs get a little more reflective, and this is no exception.
What can I do? What can I do?
You know, I feel like a few of my takes on this list have been contrary to the popular opinion. That being said, this take is not one of them. Ringside deserves every bit of praise it's received and then some. It is brilliant, it is hilarious, it is catchy as hell. Ringside is more or less Rhythm Heaven condensed into a single minigame. I mean, what other series could turn an interview with a wrestler into a minigame, huh? No other series could. Every voice line here is iconic across both the Japanese and English dub, and every piece of this game is like a piece of a machine. So if you remove one part of it, honestly the whole thing would fall apart. Well, you could probably remove the baby noise in the middle of the song. I still don't know what the deal with that is, but that doesn't matter. Ringside's a classic, and it isn't overrated. Overrated really just has no meaning anymore. People just use it to take the fun out of other people's enjoyment of things. Though I've never actually heard people call Ringside overrated. Yeah, whatever. It's good, and that's what counts. On a sheer level of how much this remix accomplishes, I have to place it this high. It would feel wrong if I didn't. Remix 10 is impressive to a ridiculous extent. It mixes every single main game into one near seamless remix. It is the ultimate test of rhythmic skill in this game, and it makes sure to push everything the players learned to the absolute limit. Heck, even the tutorial and credits game show up here. I guess they did wind up on the list somehow. It's intimidating, sure, but there's this air keeping the wind in its sails, and by extent, the wind in the player's sails. And that wind is practically screaming that you can do it. And sure, the average person playing this will fail again and again and again. But once that finish line is crossed... Psych, there's a fake out. But once that line is crossed... Oh, come on! Remix 10 is not just a fantastic capstone to a fantastic game, and not just a mimetic goldmine, but among every remix in this series, it's undoubtedly my favorite. It's an achievement, a peak the series has yet to top by a sheer level of making something of this caliber so smooth and seamless. But I'll be waiting with bated breath if it ever does. Hey y'all. Whew. This has been quite a journey, huh? But we're about to reach our final destination. Some of you probably already know what it is by process of elimination, but I just wanted to say thanks for watching up to this point. These lists, they're a lot harder to make than they look. It's taken some real work to get this one done. Stayed up a lot of nights, and it's definitely my longest video by far. I've been on this one in the background since March. And well, even if I struggle to come up with the words sometimes, I just want to say I appreciate each and every one of you for watching my dumb little content, and it's a relief to finally have this one done. I hope I've done well to make it enjoyable. Now how about we get to that number 1 spot, huh?
Bird up.
I don't know if I have the right words to describe what Flockstep makes me feel, but god damn it, I'm gonna try. Sure, the game itself is fun, mechanically really solid as you march to the beat, occasionally doing a synchronized jump, but everything else about this one, man, it emotionally overwhelms me. Hey, don't laugh. The way I see it, it's more than a silly bird march, though at its core, it really is just that. But seeing all these birds migrating together, some leave the pack flying off, some stay by your side from beginning to end, and yet, despite what goes on around you, you keep moving forward. You never turn back, you never hesitate. And by staying true to yourself, the motivation, the energy you have never falters either. The music swells as you meet new friends, expand your worldview, literally, and when those words of encouragement pop up on screen, I'm just like, fuck, man. Even if things seem tough, you can always make it through. Keep marching forward, little buddies. I listened to this one a lot while editing this video, if you couldn't tell. I'm sorry, I'm dragging on and getting emotional now, but Flockstep is just fantastic. And from having amazing gameplay, the best song in the game, and a strong emotional core, it's undoubtedly an all-time favorite for me. There's a long road ahead of me in the future, and I can't wait to see what's in store. Are we done? We're done! Wow, that was a lot, and I didn't always articulate myself the best, but it's hard to do so for 40 minutes straight. I'm glad I did it, though. I got a lot off my chest. But if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna take a nap. I earned this. Thank you for coming, thank you for staying, thank you for watching the show. I'll see you all next time. And now I go back to my small essays and never do a big numbered list like this again. God, this took so much out of me. What was I thinking?